everyone, very good evening and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. My name is Alpa Sharma and this is our second session on syllogisms. I hope I'm clearly audible and visible to everybody. Can everyone hear and see me clearly? If you could very quickly confirm that, we shall commence with our session. We already have had one session on syllogisms and this is part 2 of that. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll highly recommend you watch that video, because in that video we've discussed the basic concepts of syllogisms. Hi Nishant, yes, good to see you back. So we're going to be discussing the concepts. We have already discussed the concepts of syllogisms and we will try to apply those concepts to some questions today. So I hope you were through with the concepts, and the first 10 minutes we'll quickly revise those concepts. After we revise them, we'll apply all that theory to application of some questions. We'll try to analyze how are we supposed to analyze these questions and find a correct conclusion to the questions given to us. Now quickly let's have a look at what we had done in our previous classes. So here we go. Let's start with the revision, and this is here. So what we had done in the previous classes was analyzing what exactly are syllogism questions. Syllogism questions are where you are given two statements and you're supposed to analyze those two statements. You have to combine the two statements together, and by combining them you have to derive valid conclusions. So now conclusions have to be the ones that are absolutely certain, not probable in some scenarios and improbable in some. They have to be completely true in every possible scenario. Only then the conclusion is going to be correct. So I'll give you an example. Alpa ma'am is wearing a sweatshirt. Is it necessary that it's cold where I'm taking classes from? No, not really necessary. There may be a possibility that it's cold, or maybe I am feeling cold. So both the possibilities are true. So that conclusion that it's cold from where I'm taking classes is only a probable conclusion. That is, our conclusions are going to be correct only and only when it is absolutely certain in every single scenario. So while we apply this theory of combining statements and deriving a valid conclusion, we use a methodology, syllogisms, which is also called as deductive logic. We draw certain diagrams, we combine the diagrams, and we try to derive a valid conclusion looking at the different scenarios we make through different diagrams. That's what we learned about syllogisms. Okay. So it's a logical tool that we're going to be using. The concepts were already taught in the first part of this class. If you still haven't seen that, I'll highly recommend after this class, go back, watch the complete video so you know exact application and how we draw diagrams, because these are very important for you to derive conclusions. Okay. And I'll be using the word premise. Premise is going to be the statement given to us by the examiner. We'll consider it to be true, and through those premise, we have to check the valid connotations, check the valid conclusions. So that's what we're going to be doing through the methodology in today's class. Now, there were a few terminologies I had made it clear to you. What were these? These were sets. So sets were, in layman term, what did we learn? Sets were groups, right? So groups of different statements, different words. So for example, if I have teachers, so teachers will be a group. Every teacher in the world will be a part of this group. So Alpa, a teacher, part of this group. Ankur Sharma, a teacher, part of this group. And all other teachers that we have, we are a part of this group. This group can be named as a set. Okay. And then there's another terminology that's going to be a subset. What was a subset? Alpa, who is a teacher, is a subset of the bigger set teachers. So a subgroup of a bigger group is termed as a subset. So I hope the terminology set and subset is clear to everyone. Now, these were sets and subsets. Venn diagrams are, we draw circles to represent these groups. So for example, teachers, students, these are sets. And when we draw a circle as a diagrammatic representation of what we are going to be seeing as a set, that diagrammatic representation is termed as a Venn diagram. Okay, so if I say some teachers are students, The Venn diagram is going to be like this. Some teachers are students. This is some teachers who also are students, this shaded part. So that's how you draw a Venn diagram for the articulate. For now, currently we do not have any existing batches for BBA. You'll have to keep a track of when we launch a batch for BBA, but we have plenty of classes coming up on our YouTube channel. So I would expect you to be regular with our YouTube sessions, which are for free for you for now. Okay, so that's all we can offer right now to you in terms of BBA. That's my answer to your question. So I hope some teachers or students as a combination of two Venn diagrams is clear to you. That's how we're going to be applying the theory of syllogisms to find certain answers. Also, I'll be using the word premises and conclusions a lot of times. Please be clear with the terminologies. Premises are going to be the questions given to us by the examiner. Conclusions are going to be various options given to us. We have to derive a valid conclusion. A conclusion is something that can be certainly said as true from the given premises in the given question to us. So for example, if the examiner gives us a premise saying some students are teachers, we make a Venn diagram like this. Some students are teachers. Okay, this part of students is also teachers. Can I? Hi Anjali. Thank you Nishant. Thank you. Now, can I also conclude by looking at this that therefore some teachers are students? Can I conclude this, everyone? I'll repeat. Articulate, I have no idea about that. Probably in the next few months there should be a course that we launch. Okay, so currently we don't have any, but soon we will. How soon? I am not really sure about that. Now, getting back to it. When I say some students are teachers, I can also say some teachers are students. That's going to be a valid conclusion. If I have taken some classes for you, you've studied some classes from me. So if some part is true for one, the other part also, this has to be true. Okay, so that's how you derive valid conclusions, a conclusion that's true in every possible scenario. Okay, now let's move on to the basic 4 principles that we had learned in the last class. I'll show you the Venn diagrams for each principle, and now after we revise the 4 principles, premises of syllogisms, we will now combine them in today's class. So we did 4 of them. We'll combine 2, any 2 combinations, and we'll see how can valid conclusions be drawn. Okay, so now let's understand what were the 4 basic premises of syllogisms. First premise was this. I hope you remember this, Nishant. You were live in the class. Anjali, I think you too were. So I hope you remember what these premises were. Let's quickly draw a diagram for this. When I say all A are B, there were 2 cases we had drawn for that. One is all A are B through this Venn diagram, and the other possibility was A is equal to B. These were the 2 possible scenarios in which all A or B is going to be true. And when we make both of them, while we derive a conclusion, we'll have to look at both the possibilities. And a conclusion that suffices both the possibilities will make the answer correct. So, the conclusions we were given were, first, all B are A. All B are A is true in the second Venn diagram. But in the first Venn diagram, it's not true. So, the conclusion all B are A is going to be wrong. I hope everyone understands how we are going to apply the Venn diagrams to draw conclusions. Any doubt, anybody? I hope that's clear to everyone. When we say all A are B, we cannot say all B are A. Okay? Yeah. So that's the first conclusion. That's incorrect. The second is some B are A. Some B are A, this part of A is some B, which is also A, correct. And this also some B are A is true. This is going to be a valid conclusion that we can draw. We can see this in both the sets, in both the cases, both the possibilities. So some B are A is going to be a correct conclusion. So whenever you're given a statement all A are B, some B are A will be a valid conclusion that we draw. Okay, now let's continue with the third conclusion. Some B are not A. Some B are not A is not true in the second scenario. When it's not correct in the second scenario, it's going to be a wrong conclusion. See, some B are not A. That means some part of B has to be outside A. This part of B is outside A. But then here no part of B is outside A. Thus, this is going to be an incorrect conclusion. And the last conclusion, no B are A. When some A are B, all A are B, that automatically means some part of B will be occupied by A. How can we derive the fourth conclusion? In neither of the cases, fourth conclusion will be a valid one. So, absolutely incorrect. That was the first premise we understood in the previous class. This is a quick revision for the first 10 minutes. Then we're going to apply this theory to combinations. So, I'll make a clearer diagram here. When you have all A are B, you either make all A are B or you make all A are B. These are the two cases that you draw, and this is the valid conclusion that can come out of this. Let's have a look at the second premise, which will lead us to solving questions. The second is no A or B. That's the easiest of all. Absolutely simple. You don't. It's a no-brainer statement. So when I say no A or B, you quickly draw this. No A or B. There's no connection between A and B. If I haven't taught you, you haven't studied from me. If I'm not present in the class, I'm not taking the classes. There's no connect between the two. Since there's no connect, two disjoint sets. And now when we have two disjoint sets, let's have a look at the conclusions. Let's see which one is going to be a valid one. So the first conclusion is no B are A. So when no A are B, automatically it means no B are A. The first is going to be a valid conclusion. I hope that's clear to everyone. Let's have a look at the second one. Some B are A. This is the only possibility that we can draw. Through this possibility, can you say some B are A? If there's no connect between the two, I cannot say some B are A. That's incorrect. Can I say some A are B? Again, if no A are B, how can I say some A are B? There's no connect between the two sets. If there's no connect, this conclusion is going to be incorrect. So, invalid conclusion. Let's have a look at the last one. Some B may be A. If no A are B, there's no connection. In any possibility, can some B may be A? No possibility that can be true. So, the only valid conclusion we draw is no B are A. I'll quickly repeat. All those people who are live, we've already done the concepts in the first class of syllogisms. This is syllogism part 2. If you still are confused with how we drew this conclusion out, I'll highly recommend you go back, watch the first class that's there on our channel. It's already recorded. Make sure you watch that recorded session, and then you come back to this session, you watch it recorded again, and you see how we apply it to solving questions. Now let me make a clear diagram for you here. When I have no A or B, I make two sets, no A or B. And the conclusion is going to be no B or A. I hope that's clear to everyone. Okay, now let's continue with the next. That's the third premise. Third premise is a little tricky one. So we'll try to apply all our logic here. We'll try to understand this. I'll go a little slow with this one because all those people who haven't done syllogisms with me, you might be confused here. So I'll be making 4 possible scenarios here. Unlike no A or B, we had only one possible scenario. Here we're going to have 4 possible scenarios. So let's apply it to this statement. Let's see what all can be drawn. Some A or B. One possible scenario, this. Some A or B. Second scenario. Some A or B. This is some A. This is also B. These are the first 2 cases. But you remember, Nishan, do you remember that I told you that, just a minute. Yeah. So do you remember that I told you that when I have some A or B, we know that it means at least one A is B. That can also mean that all A may be B. You remember this, everyone? Yes. So now let's apply this. When I have some A or B, it can also mean all A may be B. So we draw this and this. These are the four possible scenarios for some A or B. Minimum one A is B. It could be all as well. Minimum one is these two. All are these two. So these are the four conditions we draw when we say some. Guys, just a minute. Okay. These are the four conditions we draw when we try to derive this conclusion. Now, let's move on and see what all conclusions are valid here. First conclusion, some A are not B. In the fourth case, some A are not B is true. Is it true? That is not true. That's going to be false. Some A are B does not mean some A are not B. That might sound confusing to some people who haven't done syllogisms with me. I'll again repeat, please watch the first class on syllogisms if you haven't done that. This is the second class. Now, second conclusion, some B are not A. In the last diagram, is some B are not A true? In the last, it's not true. In the second, it's not true as well. False conclusion. Third conclusion, some B are A. Some B are A is true here. Some B are A is true here. Some B are A is true here. Some B are A is true here as well. Some A are B automatically means some B are A. What is the schedule of the live classes? So Vartika will try to bring one free video on YouTube for you every day. Okay, so this is the one that we're going to have today. Okay, and every time there's a session, it will already be uploaded by 11 a.m. in the morning. It usually happens during 4 or 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. in the evening. So every morning the schedule is uploaded for the coming day, the day whenever it is uploaded. So today's schedule was uploaded early in the morning around 10 or 11. Okay, so you have to follow that. Yes, Anjali, that's true. Okay. So back to this, when some A or B is true, some B R is true. Same example, if I have taught you some classes, you have studied some classes from me. Okay, so that's what you apply to these statements. Now let's continue with our next conclusion. No BRA. How is that even possible? If some A or B, no BRA is automatically eliminated without even looking at the diagrams. Every diagram proves this incorrect. So we are left with only one conclusion, and which is the third one. Okay, if some A are B, so is some B are A. Now let's go to our last set of premise, and then we'll be combining the premises. So the last set is here. Some A are not B. This is tricky, everyone. It means at least one part of A has to be away from B. It can be all part of A as well. We know at least one part is away. What is the maximum number? It could be all as well. So what do we draw? Some A are not B. 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 Are you guys, all of you, convinced with all the three cases that I've drawn? Can you see some A are not B true in all the three possible scenarios? Please look at them and tell me that you're convinced or not. Convinced, everyone? I'll wait for your answers. If I know you're convinced, I can move ahead with the application or of combining these statements, the four premises, to more difficult questions. FYI, we have a part 3 on syllogisms coming up. Okay, and part 3 of syllogisms will have more difficult questions, exceptions, where you might be confused even if you can solve all the questions that I have brought for you today. Okay, so let's have a look at the conclusions. First one, some A are B. Some A are B is false in the third diagram. False conclusion. No A are B is false in the first diagram. False conclusion. Some B are not A is false in the second diagram. Wrong conclusion. No B may be A. Correct in the last one. Incorrect in the second one. That means it's a maybe case. That means it is a valid conclusion. That means when you have some A or not B, a sure shot conclusion cannot be drawn. It's only a probable one that you can see. So, our conclusion can only be a probable one, something that has may. A sure shot conclusion will never be true in some A or not B. So, giving all this a stop here, a revision, a stop here, let's now combine any of the two out of the four premises, and then we'll see how do we make Venn diagrams and how do we find correct answers. Here we go with the first question. Okay. Now, this is the first question for you. You have to combine these two statements. You have to find valid conclusions. Bring your pen, bring your notebook, make Venn diagrams and send me what your answers are. I'll wait for you. Till the time you send me your answers, I'll have a sip of water, everybody. Send me your answers, everyone. I'll wait for your answers, everybody. Ajab, FYI, can you hear noise of some truck passing by? The room that I'm taking my classes, the office that I'm taking my classes from today, that's pretty close to the main road. I hope the noise of the trucks and the cars aren't disturbing you. Now, let me give you some insight. Let me show you how to make Venn diagrams for this question. Then you can check the conclusions, okay? All A are B. Two scenarios. Second, all B are C. All B are C. All B are C. Okay? That's how you combine the two statements. Did everyone understand how the combination was made? Yeah? So, after we combine this, let's see our conclusions. Some A are not C. Is it valid in the second case? Not valid, wrong. All C are A. All C are A is true in the second case, but all C are A is not true in the first case. It's an incorrect one. All A are C. All A are C is true here. All A are C is true here. I think we found our answer. The answer is a C. Let's have a look at the last one. Some A are C. Some A are C. Some A are C is valid, but instead of some ARC, would you choose all ARC? Yes, you would. That's a sure short conclusion. This is only a probability. Thus, our correct answer here has to be a C. I hope you understand the answers here. So, that's our correct answer. It's going to be a C here. Now, let's continue with the next question. Question number 2. Here you go. Apply this, combine the diagrams, look at which one of the four conclusions will be valid. What do you think is going to be the correct answer? Let me show you a combination. All A are B. Okay. Some B are C. Next diagram, all A are B. Okay. Now, some B are C. Everyone, please be very careful with how I combine C into this condition. When I say some B are C, C could be this, C could also be this. In both the cases, C1 and C2, some B or C is valid. That means C can touch A, C can occupy A, C can be away from A as well. Would you agree with me, everyone? Yes, it can be away as well. Or it can completely occupy it as well, like this. Now, whatever conclusion that I draw about C has to satisfy C1, C2 and C3, all the three possibilities of C. Let's see the first conclusion. Some A are not C is false in the third C. That means incorrect conclusion. Some C are not B is incorrect in the third conclusion. Wrong conclusion. All A are C is false in the first scenario of C. All A are C is false. Wrong conclusion. Some A are C is false in the first scenario of C. Wrong conclusion. The correct answer is going to be none of the above. I hope you understand how did we derive to this conclusion, everyone? That's going to be a wrong conclusion. If you have doubts, you could ask me right now. How did we make the three situations of C? These are three possibilities. C can be drawn in three different ways. It can occupy C completely, some part of C, or no part of C. So conclusion has to satisfy all the three scenarios. That is what C1, C2, C3 are. Let's go on with the next question. Here you go. Draw this and tell me what your answer is. Now, let me make diagrams for you. Some A are B. Second case, some A are B. Some B are C. Again, there are going to be three possibilities of C. Some B are C, C1, C2, C3. C can be away from A, can be adjoining, can be occupying A as well. Let's have a conclusion that satisfies all the three scenarios of C. Some A are not C is false in C3. Wrong conclusion. Some C are not A is false in C3. Wrong conclusion. All A are C is wrong in the first scenario of C. Wrong conclusion. Some A may be C. Yes. In C2, it may be. In C1, it may not be. That means it's a probable solution. This is going to be our correct answer in the given question. That is, some A may be C, may not be C. Yes, that's valid. That is something we can say for sure. So, D is going to be our correct answer here. And then we come to the last question of the class. Combine this and send me your answers. When we have sum A or B, we'll make something like this. Sum A or B, sum A or B. No B or C. No B or C, again. C1, C2, C3. In all the three cases of C, no BRC is valid. First conclusion, sum C or A. Sum C or A is false in the second and the third conclusion, third scenario of C. Wrong conclusion. Sum C are not A. Sum C are not A, that also is false because C can also be made like this. So sum C are not A also is going to be false. No A or C is absolutely false because A can be combined with C in the first scenario. False. Sum B or C. Sum B or C is outrightly false because if no B or C, we cannot say sum B or C. The correct answer is going to be none of the above in the given situations. I hope you've understood this question and I hope you've understood how to combine the premises, the four that I've taught you, to derive valid conclusions. Now in the next class, I'm going to be introducing you to some new concepts like only A or B, or for example, maximum A or B, a few A or B, how to handle these situations. I'll be addressing such statements in the next class, the tricky ones where people are usually confused. So for now, please download our app on Google Play. Make sure you don't leave the class without hitting the like button, and make sure you follow our channel so that you don't miss out on any of our classes, the upcoming ones at least. I'll have a class with you next week. Please wait for that, and please leave comments under my video if you think this video has been helpful to you. See you again, everyone. Have a very, very good day, and God bless all of you.